Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. Today, I am so excited. When I found out I got the opportunity to speak to our next guest, it was a family joyous occasion because my girlfriend turned me on to our next guest, her podcast, her book, her husband, and her podcast, Endless Honeymoon, which she hosts with her husband, Moshe Kasher, is now in my weekly rotation. I've read her book, The World Deserves My Children, which I highly recommend. She is a stand-up who you have seen on so many Comedy Central roasts. She has so many specials out there, which you can check out. She's an actor, a writer, a mother, and now she is part of the new Amazon Prime game show, Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? 3 episodes are out right now. New episodes, 1 per week, air on Wednesdays on Amazon Prime. And of course, it is hosted by somebody we talk about a lot here, Travis Kelce. But that's not important. We are here to talk to the one, the only, Natasha Leggero. Welcome to the show.
I've touched Travis Kelce.
That's it. But good talking to you, Natasha. Have a good day. Well, listen, I just from knowing you a little bit, I mean, what was your awareness of Travis Kelce? Because by the way, I watched 3 episodes of this so far, and he's a really solid host.
I mean, it was pretty fascinating. So basically, I knew his name, of course, because of his girlfriend. I had heard the name.
Wait, who's his girlfriend?
She's a singer. I can't quite remember her name right now, but I know she's really big. People love her. I think she's a country singer. I'm not sure. But I heard about them a lot in the news, and I had no idea what Travis looked like because I am not a baseball or whatever sport he does. And not a sports fan.
Yeah.
And so I was like totally prepared to be like, sports people and entertainment, what's, and the guy blew me away. He was so good. He really, you could tell he like took the job really seriously. And I'm like, how does he get to be good at footballing and at hosting? I mean, he did such a great job too, because he really walks the line of taking it seriously, but having so much fun. Yeah. And I mean, the guy's going to be a huge star. If he isn't already, maybe a huge something, I don't know, host. It was so fun working with him. He loved kind of, because my whole thing was to kind of like rib him a little bit. And he loved it. And he just took everything like, so easily. And it was just such a joy working with him.
No, I mean, I was angry how good he was, because like you, I was like, how many things does this guy get to be good at? This is so frustrating. And then like you've been, working your career now for decades, and this guy is just coming sailing through. I want to just tell the audience about the game show a little bit too, is that basically you're answering, like, it's kind of a spinoff of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, where, grades 1 through 6, they have like first grade art questions, third grade math questions, and then they have a contestant, and the celebrities are there to help them out. And they have Nikki Glazer, Ron Funches, Lala Kent, who we know from Vanderpump Rules because we cover a lot of reality shows. So you get to be one of the celebrities. And I have to tell you, Natasha, it's stacked with it. But this game made me feel like an idiot. Turns out I'm not smarter than a celebrity. I'm not smarter than anybody in elementary school. Like, I forgot what primary colors were watching an episode. I mean, my girlfriend was like,
honey, that's no. Come
on. My girlfriend was literally like, really? And I was like, no, I completely blanked. For you doing what you do, was this kind of the funnest gig imaginable, that you get to show up and be funny and just like participate in a great game show?
Well, it was that, but I have to say it was this other layer of like, am I going to be completely humiliated? Like, how easy is like, if I would not known the primary colors, I don't know. I could have been like a true.
Hey, listen, what river did George Washington cross, Natasha?
That would be the Boston River. How's that sound? Yeah. See, that sounds like it could be right, but it's obviously wrong. So really, I mean, because everyone has their strong suits, and you really could see like some of my fellow comedians who, I always think comedians are the people who got D's in conduct and kind of C's in everything else, because that's what I did, and that's what a lot of people I know. But you could really see these alter egos coming out of people, like, oh, you were like a goody two shoes, or oh, you were like, you must have gotten all A's, or, oh, you were into literature.
Yeah.
Like, it was actually really fun.
Oh yeah. I mean, Nikki
People's
Glazer,
strength.
I didn't realize Nikki Glazer studied literature at like in Kansas at like a college major. And I was like, oh my God, she's like
And I think
brilliant.
Ron Funches did too. Comedians are so interesting because, like, it's like we've tried every single thing and then landed on this.
Well, I mean, didn't you
It's
study
never
theater
something.
criticism in college? You studied theater criticism in college, didn't you?
Yeah, that's what my degree is in. But, that was actually a good transition to just critiquing society in general, which is what stand-up is. But yeah, and I was actually an art minor. So all of the art questions on this show, Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? I was always hoping for art of any grade, any kind of uh literature I'm good at, English, but like and spelling, but truly anything else, presidents, geography, uh anything that had to do with animal science, like, it was all just so challenging for me, and I'm realizing I went to public school in Rockford, Illinois, and there are just some very large gaps in my education. Like, I didn't know England was an island until I grew up and was 21 and went there, you know? I just, like, there were just some really large, you know
Yeah.
but
So
that was the problem. It was very fun and, fun to be hanging out and making fun of things and, being with all your comedian friends, but the truth was I was pretty scared of being embarrassed,
yeah.
which only really happened once. I don't wanna give it away, but, yeah, there was one thing that was pretty embarrassing, but I got out of it okay.
Well, we're excited to see that embarrassment for you, but I was also they do this great thing, you guys, where they take the celebrity and the contestants their childhood picture, and your childhood picture is bonkers. You have a full contraption attached to your face. Like truly, this was what we used to be scared of, like calling brace face. I was just thinking of that age, Natasha. Like, could you have ever imagined where your life was going to take you when that photo was taken? Like, how old were you when that photo was taken?
Well, first of all, it's called headgear.
Sorry.
And
Yeah, that's yeah,
we
my
would
bad.
wear it, and I don't know if people still wear them. Maybe now instead they have, like, retainers or something, but I definitely had this, like, contraption I'd wear on my head, and I think I was maybe 11 or something. Um, I don't have buck teeth anymore though, so I'm happy for that. That picture, I mean, I'm sure you're welcome to show it. I had a
Yeah,
perm.
we're gonna put it up
Uh
on the video clip. I mean, it truly is. It's one of those like kind of amazing, inviting pictures where you're like, oh, we've all been to like we've all been there, but not to this extreme.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
so what did young Natasha like? Did you? I mean, you always thought of yourself as an actor, right? Even as a kid. I mean, you even have a
I
story in
was
your
a
book
child
about being on set.
actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a child actor and, I wasn't on set very much. I think I did one movie that I got cut out of in, like, a trash bag commercial or something, but I basically was in theater as a child. So, I was in this, like, regional theater, and I was always the child that they would have come, whenever they needed a kid. So I got to, like, leave school and, there'd be matinees on Wednesdays, and every night I was at the theater, and it really did become my happy place. And I think that has a lot to do with, why I entered into this profession, And yeah, so but it was fun to, like, I'm not that competitive of a person, I realized too from this. And one of the things we did in the show, like, I was on the swim team, and this is where I was trying to relate to Travis a little bit 'cause I'm really fascinated by these people who have this winning edge,
Yeah.
like Travis and, all of the sports players. I was on the swim team, and I actually have a it's like kind of like a photo album full of
Scrapbook.
all a scrapbook full of all of my last place ribbons. They're all yellow, and they're all participation ribbons, and I have this distinct memory of, like, finishing the 200 IM, which is the individual medley, which is like a little bit of backstroke, a little bit of breaststroke, a little bit of front crawl, and then you end in butterfly, and I would always finish, so I would get the participation medal. But I was always like, there would be silence while I would finish finish the everyone was like waiting for me to finish the butterfly. And the butterfly is really hard, but I would finish it, I will say. But like you would just hear kind of my mom clapping. It was very sad, but at least then I realized, okay, sports aren't my thing.
I mean, that's
Um,
good preparation for being a stand-up as well. Just dealing with like sometimes scattered applause when you're starting out.
oh, of course. And bombing. I mean, it's definitely, that doesn't happen anymore, but knock on wood, but it definitely
Oh,
when you
which by
start
which by the
out.
way, I'm gonna put up all Natasha's her website because she has a bunch of stand-up dates coming up too. You need to check out, I think, in Boston and Florida. So go see Natasha live as well. I was reading your book. I was rereading it this weekend or listening to it this
Oh
time,
my
and
goodness. Would you just introduce me everywhere I go? That was such a beautiful intro too. I
well,
really
no, I mean,
appreciate it.
truly, you have to understand what you mean in terms of pop culture and comedy and things. And I don't even know if you kind of realize how respected you are. But I was reading it, and I think we started off. I ended up working at this place for like over a decade, but we started off. You talk about an acting class that you were in with Paris Hilton, and they do this exercise where you have to sit with your back to the other classmates, and then they yell out typecasting, like, "Oh, you would be cast as this, you would be cast as that." And that was
Right.
at Leslie
He seems
Kahn's.
like
That was at Leslie Kahn's, wasn't it?
yes. How do you know that?
Because I took the same class, I took the same intensive, and then I worked there for like a decade.
As like the teacher?
Well, I was a coach, but I worked in the office and things like that. But I
I
started off
see.
with that behind the back exercise. So when you wrote that in your book, I was like, this is Leslie's. This is totally Leslie's. And you were there with Paris Hilton.
I was there with Paris Hilton and everyone was like saying the things like this girl came up named Sandy. And we are like, I bet Sandy, dates older guys, or I bet Sandy likes to drive fast cars. And Paris raised her hand and she goes, Sandy likes to sell seashells by the seashore. And like, I looked at her and I was like, oh my God, this girl's going to be huge. I just knew it. It was before she was famous, but like I knew she was because I read like the society pages. So like I recognized her and like we would take a break during the acting class and she would just go to McDonald's for like an hour. Just
Oh,
like come back.
Natasha did well. So there's all these pictures at Leslie's studio of all the intensive classes in frames, like lining the kitchen
There's one of
walls.
me in Paris in there, right?
I very much so. There is one, and I would always like look at that photo going. And then the funny thing was, there's notes on all the actors, and Paris's is like very sweet, very nice. But literally, one of the things that she told the class was, "One day, my dad's going to buy me a zoo."
Really? They wrote that in the notes?
They wrote that in that because they write everything that the like kind of the actors say and like the notes and stuff like that. But it was so because it kind of lined up with how you described the experience. And like Paris is a legend, obviously, but it was
She's a
so
legend and
funny.
she's also smart, and also this was like 20 years ago, so I'm sure she
Yeah.
was also coming off of, like, being very young and inexperienced, but, you just seeing this, like, whatever the opposite of imposter syndrome is, I mean, and you know what? My daughter's gonna have it. I
I,
tr we give her everything she's ever wanted, so but, yeah, I remember, like, on the maybe the 2nd day of class, Paris came with she came with a photo album and she passed it around. No one asked to bring pictures, but she decided to bring a photo album and she said, these are pictures of my last birthday party. We stopped in every city we could. Here and it was like, here's me in Tokyo with all my friends, here's me in Paris with all my friends. And she had like a different city on every page with all her friends surrounding her birthday cake. And then I remember the last page, I think, was just her in lingerie for some reason. But I don't know, there's a naivete, and also
no,
Paris is like maybe it was intentional, I don't know, I mean, she's extremely successful, and she also is really savvy, she caught on to whatever the perfume thing was.
yeah.
I think she has more perfume sales than anyone else, and,
Oh, I mean, she's one of the
DJing.
most one of the most successful kind of celebrities, and like kind of ushered us into a new pop culture way of thinking with like a simple life and stuff like that. So she's done amazing, but it was just cracking me up because there's even a story in the book of you going to Vegas to go to Paris's birthday party, and
And
it was turned out
realizing it was
it
yeah, it
was a
was just
club.
like it was just an opening of a club, like, I thought she thought of me as a personal friend, and, like, meanwhile, it was just, like, me screaming over a bouncer being like, "Paris!" Paris, I brought you some Merlot. Very humiliating. But
What I was shocked also is that like you are this trained actress. Like you were auditioning with monologues from like Bomb and Gilead by Lanford Wilson and all of this. And I was kind of shocked to realize that you didn't kind of like you weren't like this fully formed stand-up. Like that was something that happened in pursuit of your acting career.
yes, that's true. Also, wait, I want to talk about that, but I would like to also say, have you ever seen the video online of Paris telling her friend, having her friend help her clean out her closet, and it's Kim Kardashian?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
don't forget,
Kim,
Paris also brought us Kim Kardashian.
yeah, Kim was her like
she brought the
her
first sex tape, and she introduced the world to the Kardashians. Kim was like her assistant.
I mean, no,
So
that's a completely true story. I
also,
remember
The
that
Simple
very
Life was
specifically.
straight up good. I'm sorry. The Simple Life was like a
No,
great TV show.
yeah, nobody bags on A Simple Life around here, which by the way, they're making a sequel to, or they've already made a sequel to it this year. Like they're coming out with a new reality show with Paris and Nicole. But
Oh
regardless,
my
I just
God,
thought it was,
amazing.
yeah, I just thought it was interesting though, like that I was like, oh, you are a trained actor that like stand up came after you moved to LA from New York. And I thought that was such an interesting thing of finding stand up. And then when did you realize how strong of a voice you had in terms of stand up that you could really do this?
I moved to LA. I couldn't get an agent in New York. I got so close. And then I think I write about in the book this agent, Al Flanagan. I performed in front of the whole team. I was like crying. I like did this amazing monologue. And then he's like, okay, call me tomorrow at 3 p.m. So I remember I was calling him from a payphone from Hunter College where I was going to college. And it was like fine, I waited for the clock to strike 3, and he's like, okay, I sat down with the whole agency and we all decided you're too short to ever become an actress. Like these, and I was very young and impressionable at the time, and just my whole world just immediately crumbled. I remembered like, falling to my knees in the student center and like hanging up the payphone. And I just felt I just thought this man knew he was a prophet,
Yeah.
and he just knew the answer. And it was really hard. And he was a pretty big agent too, I think, there. And, I kind of like hung around New York, waitressing a little bit longer. I worked at the whiskey bar, and um then I was just like, I'm gonna try to maybe go to LA. And then when I came to LA, I again tried to get an agent, pounding the pavement. I rented a rent-a-wreck car. It was like missing a side door. I had no money. There was actually this crazy thing. Maybe this is one of the benefits of being a, a young white girl out of college. But for some reason, Chase Manhattan Bank gave me a $5,000 credit. And I'm like, even called them. I go, you're just giving me $5,000? And they're like, yeah, you can just write checks up to $5,000 and it's overdraft protection. And I was like, okay, well, so I thought I won the lottery. And I've since talked to people about that, and they're like, well, that sounds crazy. I don't know how this happened, but I got this $5,000, and then I just wrote checks to everyone I could in order to fund my move to LA. And, I pounded the pavement here for about 2 years. And then one day I saw this girl I knew from acting conservatory, this girl, Melanie Vesey, and she was at the Comedy Store in the belly room. And she was like, hey, come watch my stand up. And I went, and I was like, she's just like ripping on LA. I was like, wait, can I do
can do
this?
that.
Like, I could just critique society, I guess. And so I took the class that she took, this guy Adam Barnhart, and I did a show, and it was an amazing experience, and I just really connected with it. And that's the thing too about art and being a performing artist, or really any kind of artist. Like, art is something that is moving in you, and it's like you need to express it somehow, and you can
Yeah.
express it so many different ways. You can express it through tap dancing, you can express it through painting, you can express it through acting, through singing, write a song, write a poem, critique society, like you're getting up on stage and creating a persona. So anyway, it just was a kind of a fun transition for me. And
Yeah. I mean, I mean, and then it kind of, I mean, I'm sure there was like so many struggles and still are, but it kind of like was this thing that I always find it funny that the thing that you don't expect to participate in is the thing that actually gets you closer to your initial goal. Like you had so many more opportunities through stand up to do acting and things that you love because of that stand up. And like I had a teacher once tell me like, love the art in yourself, not yourself in the art, which is kind of what you
Mm.
were saying is like, you know, it's like what's inside of you. And a lot of people in LA, it's, oh, I just want to be a part of it. I don't have anything inside me. I just want to be like in magazines and things like that.
Oh my God, I'm going through this now with my daughter. So she's in first grade, and the teacher asked them yesterday, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And she said, "All the boys want to be YouTubers."
Yeah.
She said she and another girl want to be pop stars. And then her other friend wants to walk the red rope. And I was like, "The red rope?" And then we're like, "The red carpet?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "That's not a job." So basically, kids are just, I mean, this is their life now. Like, they think it's like
Yeah.
all the results. Like, no, these are not, I mean, maybe they are professions now. I don't know. But yes, it's like trying to get back to like, yeah, what is the art? What is the thing that you want to do? The expressing of yourself. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just really glad I found stand up. And I also found like when I moved to LA, I would go to auditions and the actors were always so competitive and just like catty in the waiting rooms. We don't even go to waiting rooms anymore, but then we did.
Yeah.
And then I would go to an audition that was like an improv audition or, Reno 911 or, one of the comedy things. And like everyone was so fun and funny and just really fell in love with the comedy community. It was just like vastly superior to me, to the acting
Yeah.
community. And it just felt really special and everyone was kind of damaged in similar ways. And I think there's less of that now because everyone seems divided and it's really sad. But, you can still kind of feel the camaraderie a little bit at certain places. And, COVID kind of, I don't know what happened, but it really did destroy some of that.
Oh, completely. But I mean, also, I want to point out the Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? It has that vibe of like camaraderie and
It
fun.
really
And it's one of
brought,
those,
yeah,
no,
shows
it's one
like
of
this
those
really
shows
bring it
that,
together.
yeah, it kind of like actually shows you like, oh, there's like fun, there's lightheartedness, there's funny. It points out that I'm stupid. There's so many great things about this show that I think everybody is going to love.
Well, that's actually a great point because when I do shows like this, like especially a show like Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? Because we got to be there for like, all week. And it's like we all of us comedians really got to like fold into this world and like it reminded me of the old days a little bit.
Well, I know no, I'm telling you guys are going to love this. It's like also the perfect holiday show that you can even binge if you don't start until like Thanksgiving. It's a great show for everybody. But also I love that the fact that you're in the front row and they have an Apple box for you, which it goes to the agent. They have the Apple box for you to stand to lay your feet on, which I thought
You
was
know,
uh very funny.
if someone would have showed me what that looked like from the camera, I would definitely would not have allowed it. But
So
in the spirit of being a comedian/clown, I'm happy that my feet are propped up on an apple box, and you could probably see up my skirt too. I don't know what was happening there, but, it was like these, like, massive chairs, but it was like it really did kinda bring me back to that grade school
yeah.
feeling, like and also that feeling I always had like I was in trouble and,
Oh,
just
I
like
thought, I mean, and also the you were talking about cheating in one of the episodes because I was like, oh, they put like a box around you in case somebody was cheating. Did you cheat in elementary school? Did you cheat in school at all?
I don't think I did, but I remember being accused of it, and it was like, "Oh, no, I actually did. Yes, I cheated on my ACTs." Which was an SAT, I don't know, ACT, SAT, it was like this the
Yeah.
standardized testing to get you into college, and honestly, the only reason I cheated was just for the math because, like, my whole life, I had absolutely no clue what was happening in math. And it's actually now that I have a child in elementary school, it's even worse because they have a new math. I didn't even understand the old math,
The
but at
old
least
math.
you can like carry, like you're not even supposed to cross out and carry in addition anymore. They have some new thing they're doing
There's
and
new
they teach
rules?
there's new rules. It's called new math. There's a whole TikTok genre attributed to this. You can look it up, but it's new math. And the teachers are begging us to not go over math with our kid unless we understand the new math. So it's like math is just sort of haunting me. So I did cheat on the math section. I was always really good in English and spelling, any kind of like
Yeah.
literature thing in the testing, reading, but it was the science and math. I was like, oh, because I wanted to go into college. I knew that was my way out. Um, growing up in
Well,
the
I
small
mean,
town.
it looked like Chad Ojocinco at one point was cheating off of you. I like Chad. Chad seemed like he was having a rough time at certain points. The athlete, you guys, Chad Ojocinco's in this as well, and I was
I
cracking
loved
up.
it. And I also wanted to tell him to not cheat off me because I don't know. I don't know these answers, Chad. Like,
How do they prep you as a celebrity? Do they tell, because you have to kind of like, even if you know the answer, you can't be like, I got it, I got it. Like, do they tell you like, have a stone face, don't let the contestant know that you actually do know the answer or don't know the answer?
there was a little bit of poker face involved. Yes, for sure. And, it's hard with anything because, whatever you are like 30% less likely to be able to grasp it in under pressure. Travis is
Exactly.
breathing
Yeah.
down your neck. There's like a time going on. You've got this other contestant who's like, $5,000. Like their life is right. They have the chance to like be making money. And like I made some woman cry on a $100,000 pyramid because she was like relying on me and she knew the answers and I didn't know something and she was so upset and I was like, "Oh my god, this is like traumatizing for both of us." So, you sometimes you really want to help the contestants too because this is a huge deal for them. So there is a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I mean, I remember coming out to
But
LA as
ultimately
a,
it's fun.
yeah, I was on a game show a long time ago as an actor, and I remember Courtney Cox was like my celebrity partner, and she knew nothing. And I mean, like she didn't make me cry, but like look at like it's so bizarre to think that you could win money, and then also you're staring at Courtney Cox's face. You're like, oh my God, you're from Friends. And it was such a bizarre experience. And she had to apologize to me afterwards. And I was like, I like Courtney Cox is apologizing to me for a game show. Like it's a wild Los Angeles rite of passage, I think, for any actor.
Oh
What is
man.
your child's in elementary school right now, which you and Moshe talk a lot about on your podcast and of course in your comedy and in your book. What does she think that what is her awareness of what you guys do? Because in some ways, how her friends are speaking, you're part of the dream of like, that's a dream profession potentially.
I
You do
am
get to
not
walk
a
the red rope.
YouTuber. I am
Yeah, you get
not
to walk the red rope
I
sometimes.
do
You walk the
walk
red rope.
But I mean, I honestly, I heard some horror stories from some friends who had brought kids out on stage and then the kids grew, and then the kids would have this like massive applause and they didn't know why. And then, the kids kind of grew up and it didn't age well. This like they kept wanting this feeling of applause for no reason. And I don't know, maybe I'm just like hyper paranoid about it, but I really try to separate her from it. Like I would like her to see a successful woman to model that, but at the same time, like I don't want her like watching people give me applause and also
Yeah,
her
yeah,
coming
yeah.
up on stage. I mean, she would bring the house down. She's so cute, but I just really try to separate that as much as possible. And I don't know if you're reading about all the, you know, fourth graders who are obsessed with Sephora and skincare and like, just in a couple years, it's like these kids are like obsessed with makeup and hair. I mean, they're like
They
getting
have a
like
skin routine at 5 years
skin
old. They have a
routine.
skin routine. I don't
It's
have a
so
skin
messed
routine yet.
up. So I'm like actually hyper vigilant about like, kind of not having her watch me in hair and makeup. And I probably take it too far the other way because I also want her to, I'm still trying to find a balance. That's the thing. And I had to get
Yeah.
off social media for a while because it's like it's hard every time you log on to social media as a mother, your algorithm, there's like someone telling you you're doing it wrong. And it really starts, and you already have everyone in your family, your mom telling you you're doing it wrong. The other, I had a preschool teacher tell me, like, you need to be packing a bento box for your daughter. People don't do brown paper lunches anymore. Like, I didn't know. I was just giving her what I packed my brother's lunch when I was little. I was in charge of their lunches. So it's like, it's hard to navigate all this. And then you have all these millennial doctors on Instagram telling you like you should say to your kids and what you shouldn't say to your kids and 5 ways you can mess up your children and make sure you never say this in the playground. Don't say be careful. That will give them a complex. You have to, it's like every single thing. I'm like, I say that, I say that, I say that. So I just had to like get off. I mean, maybe I wish I could just step into someone else's algorithm. We should do like algorithm switches or
Oh God, that's like the next Freaky Friday movie. That would be great. Just switch algorithms and see where that's a genius idea. Which, by the way, like, because you were even talking about your book about like, oh, like breastfeeding and then people having opinions about that. And I thought, man, like us guys don't have to go through any of that crap that you women have to go through in like these really intense ways. It seems like it's like a mind fuck every way you turn. And then social media, like I even got on the algorithm of parents packing the bento boxes and they do it artistically.
Oh my God.
So it's not even the packing of the bento boxes. Then they're filming themselves packing the bento boxes. Like they're
Listen,
influencers themselves.
if you're massaging broccolini in like in some sort of like oil and then putting it in the bento box and filming it, like something is missing in your life. Okay, this because your kid's not going to eat it anyway. I have bought so many different bento boxes. I keep trying to trick her with the box. Like maybe she'll eat it this way every single day, no matter what. It comes back uneaten. So yeah, I don't know what to do, but it's definitely a challenge. What was the question?
Well, no, I was just, well, I mean,
Oh,
listen,
what
we
do
got
we do?
sidetracked because I'm actually, but well, no, it was just, I was basically saying also about your daughter is that, you know, did you bring her to set? Because I would have to imagine the kids, even at that age, know who Travis Kelce is because of Taylor Swift.
Listen, I did not bring her to set. She knows who Taylor Swift is in the sense that she's heard that I don't want to play Taylor Swift because the songs get in my head and then I can't like for 4 days I'm waking up with these songs in my head. So then she's like, "Can you play Taylor Swift?" So I just play Lana Del Rey when she wants to hear Taylor Swift because she can't read yet, so she doesn't know what's on what
She
I'm
knows
playing.
she knows summertime sadness, but not reputation. Like that's perfect.
Exactly.
Uh,
So we're kind of going through that. But yeah, she doesn't know who Travis is. And I really she doesn't have an iPad. I just kind of let her use my phone as needed, but no YouTube. I'll just let her look at Netflix on my phone when we're driving a far, more than a half hour and I want her to just zone out. But other than that, I'm really trying to keep her protected as much as I can.
yeah.
Um, but it's scary
Which
out
I think,
there.
yeah, I mean, it seems like that is such a common thing that all parents go through. I did want to talk about the podcast, the Endless Honeymoon you do with your husband, Moshe Kasher. And you guys, I think, just switched to Dear Media. And it's really this brilliant podcast, you guys, if you have not checked it out yet. It's them, but they also have guests. They give relationship advice. There's like a secret segment as well.
So
And
people
would
call
you,
in and leave their deepest, darkest
yeah,
secrets, and then it's all anonymous. So then we get to comment on them, and that's been really fun too.
would you recommend doing a podcast with your husband?
No,
And
no, I will
why
say
would,
here's why I like it. Like basically, it has been a really good spot for me to just sort of crowdsource things and bring things up
workshop?
to Moshe. Well, crowdsource like we also are in couples therapy, but just being able to say like, "Hey guys, what do you think of this?" And people will comment. Like for example, Moshe will just use my toothbrush, and I'm like,
Oh,
"This is not okay." And he's like, "What? It was just the toothbrush that was there." And I'm like, No, this is not okay." And then I'll post about it, and then that one was like a resounding 100% of the people agreed with me that you should not just like use your wife's toothbrush, like, because especially since like he's just like can't doesn't want to look for his because he like brushed his teeth in bed last week or whatever. So anyway, it's been a good thing for that to like, and then he got humiliated by looking at all of these comments, and now he went out to Rite Aid and he bought a pack of like 45 toothbrushes. So like he just keeps using a new one whenever he can't find his. I still have my same cute little pink one. But yeah, he definitely changed. So I think in that sense, it's really good. I mean, I enjoy working with him. It's hard because you have so many things you want your husband, your partner to be doing in the house and with the family that it's also hard to be getting on them about like the podcast. But it does kind of like work itself out, and we do have a really fun time. And I feel like so many of our fans have been with us for so long in the pandemic. They got us through the pandemic because we kind of ramped up and we decided we had nothing else going on during 2 years of the pandemic. So we started filming twice a week. And
Well, that's
so
my girlfriend said you guys were one of the things that got her through the pandemic. Like she
that's so great
pointed
to
to you
hear.
guys specifically, and I thought, which is so funny because you did a live show for the podcast, I think a couple weeks ago, and you were just coming off of having COVID, and you had like a huge on like astronauts mask on.
Well, Reggie Watts lended us this like I don't even know what it's called. It looks like a space helmet, but it's the
Yeah.
like climate controlled, like
You,
germ free environment and like that you can put over your head, and then you can absolutely cannot give people COVID. But yeah, so I wore that to our Santa Cruz show. But yeah, hopefully we're almost done with that. But it really was great during COVID to be able to have our friends, and we would Zoom in with everyone. And we have a Patreon, and we'll have dinner parties, Zoom dinner parties with all of our biggest fans, and it's just been fun, like noticing there's like a community.
no, I mean, and I will say your dynamic, it's really just it's hysterical, it's wonderful, it's all of the things. And I think you guys, if you haven't listened to it, you would so dig it. You would so dig it. And if you do listen to it, make sure you rate it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Can I play a quick game of so bad or it's good with you, where I just
Oh
tell
my
I
God.
topics and then you say so bad or it's good?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. First one. Going to Burning Man when you're pregnant, so bad or it's good?
That is so bad, and I did it, and I don't know why I did it. Honestly, you do so many things when you're at the courting stage, right before you get married. You're under a
You're the cool
spell.
girl.
You're trying to be cool. You're like, "Oh, yeah, I'll go whitewater rafting without a helmet. That sounds fun." You wanna be seen as this, like, adventurer, down for whatever. Now, no. But yes, that is so bad.
You went to 3 Burning Mans, and Moshe has been to way more than that, if I'm not mistaken.
Believe he's been to every one.
That's wild, because you guys even have, like, an RV.
We have an RV. He takes it every year. I went 3 times, and then the pregnancy one, I spent the whole time just, like, watching Netflix inside because that year that's the thing that people don't quite understand if you've never been to Burning Man. It's actually built on uninhabitable land. So if you're not there in the summer, it's actually swamp that you can't walk on. It's like a frog swamp. So you could never build a building. There's no infrastructure. Then somehow in the summer, it hardens into, like, I don't even know what it is, some sort of tundra terrain, dusty. But anyway, it was so hot the time I was pregnant and there was so many dust storms. I just stayed in the RV the entire time.
I love people are out there, like, finding, like, themselves and spirituality and all of this stuff. They're, like, dancing to DJs, and you're watching whatever, like, you're binging on Netflix at the time.
It was pretty sad eating ramen. Ugh.
Which, by the way, somebody like people were getting trench foot last Burning Man. People literally like they couldn't
Trench
escape
foot.
Burning Man.
I've only heard of trench mouth. I didn't know about trench foot.
I think you
Touch
get
helmet.
trench everywhere. Yeah, it's okay. So bad or it's good. Your daughter going to Burning Man or a Grateful Dead or Dead and Company show. Is
So
that so
bad.
bad or it's good? Yeah.
This
So
is
it's the
why I'm
same
in
thing.
couples therapy, to have another adult explain to my husband why this isn't happening, why she's not gonna go see Dead& Company at the Sphere in Las Vegas. Uh, he's just like, "It would be fun." I mean, there's no turning back. Like, let's keep their minds innocent as long as we can, because I mean, also same with technology. It's like the learning curve on a video game is like 2 seconds. They don't need to learn how to be on tech. It'll come. It's very easy to figure out.
Okay. Fake veneers or like turkey teeth on celebrities. So bad or it's good.
I never heard the term turkey teeth, but I'm all for getting veneers. Do whatever you want to feel good about yourself. I think it's good. I think if you want to get your teeth looking great, I mean, hey, you saw my picture. My mom got me braces and got me that headgear so that my teeth weren't so jacked. And honestly, it's one of the best things she did for me because my husband, he didn't have braces, and I could see that he's kind of, like, insecure about that, and I just think my mom really prioritized that, and I'm lucky for that. So I think whatever you need to do, so good. Don't
Are you
call them
smarter?
turkey teeth. That's rude.
Well, no, Natasha, what it is, they call it that because people go to Turkey to get the cheap version of veneers.
Oh, turkey teeth.
Yeah, so they go to
Veneers
Turkey
are
to get
cheap
the
in Turkey?
yeah, you can all plastics. I learned this from 90 Day Fiance, a reality show. All
Oh, I love that show.
plastic surgery is yeah. Well, wait, I was going to ask that since this is a pop culture show. What I mean, I know you're into Fellini. I know you're into like really like deep, amazing film work as well. But what do you guys like? You watched Love Island, right? What shows do you watch? You
I
and Moshe,
loved
or you?
The British Love Island. We got into Hell's Kitchen for a while. I mean, 90 Day Fiance, I was so into, but I can't quite get Moshe to watch any more of that because once you figure out, like, you just figure out what's happening. They're pretending like someone's pretending like they're rich in another country because they have like a nice watch or something. And then they woo the person to come see that they're living in their mom's basement. So it's like this just keeps happening over and over on 90 Day Fiance.
Yeah, no, and you're horrified every new season, and then you kind of desensitize yourself to it. But like the first couple episodes are a really hard watch because you get sad every season because you're like, oh, it's happening again. They found new people, even though there's like photographic proof that this is what this show is about, and it makes you
I know.
sad for those first couple episodes. But I love it. What else do you guys watch together?
Well, we love reality shows. It has to be like the right one. Like right now we're watching what's the one where they all get married after like 3 dates?
Oh, Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. Love is Blind and Love on the Spectrum are big hits in our house.
Oh, Love on the Spectrum actually means something to me. Like I feel like that's like I that like to me is like my heart. Whereas Love is Blind, I'm like, come on, you guys, this is insane. Like we're like literally gonna set people up to get married after not seeing each other. It's so to me unrealistic.
I know, but it's happening. I mean, it also makes you see, like, makes you happy to have a partner because you're like, wow, people want partners so badly. Like, do they even know what it's like to be married? It's pretty annoying.
Well, I mean, just for the people that don't haven't really caught up with the podcast or like you and Moshe, how did you guys? I mean, you're both stand-up comedians. What was your love story and how you guys got together?
Well, like I was kind of talking about earlier, how like this kind of felt like a reunion on Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? The comedy scene is very social. And so everyone would hang out at a club and everyone would be at a comedy festival. And, we'd all just always be hanging out with each other in the green room, at parties, at festivals. And so, he was just like part of the circle of comedians that I would hang out with. So we just kind of started hanging out that way. And yeah,
Yeah.
those days feel almost gone, but it was a really fun time, and I have hope for the future.
Well, by the way, you talk about in your book, and I was just wondering, how are your nerves as we get closer to the election? Because last time, well, in 2016 for Hillary, you threw a party. You threw a party the night of the election, and then we unfortunately found out like the results of that election. But like and I was just wondering, how are you leading up to this election?
I did actually consider, well, maybe I should throw another party at the same place because we've all been traumatized already. So it would just be a re-traumatization. But you know what? I think I might like sit this one out and I don't know, maybe do some very deep incanting. I don't know what to do. I think miracles are possible. And I really do. This isn't a political
Yeah.
podcast. I would
No. It was just something that I was just thinking about reading your book because I was like, wow, you had started the book with that, and I just thought, wow, that was such a
well,
intense moment.
my daughter just learned who Donald Trump is because I've, done a very good job of shielding her from him. And, she found out on the playground and she's really mad about him because she goes to school in a place that there's a liberal bubble. And, but yes, she's just like, that guy, what? He's going to be president? That guy sucks. He's the corny president. I'm like, the corny president? She just has all these, like, she's like, oh, that guy's the worst. He's a thief. She just has all the, I'm like, where did she hear this? Like, so I get worried for kids, like, if that happens and they have to like hear the name calling and and all of the negative things that
Yeah.
would, there's something so sort of noble about Kamala, and
Yeah.
that she's not gonna, I'm sure my daughter would be able to sit in on a debate with Kamala, or a speech, or when she addresses the nation. But with the other guy, I just worry about it. Just seems very toxic, for lack of a better word.
No, I
Not to
completely
mention
agree.
all the horrors that would come with that. But mostly I
um,
worry about the precedent setting with the children.
yeah. To wrap up, to go back to
And
Are
the
You Smarter Than
environment, and racism, and bigotry, and
all of the things, all of
yeah.
the, literally all of the things. Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? 20 episodes, one now every Wednesday until the end of the run. Would you do a second season of this show? Because I think this is like an automatic second season show, that this show could be around for years upon years.
Oh, totally. It was so fun. And, you try to study for it, but it's like you can't really study, because it's like there's just so many questions that, there's just like so many different ways you can forget what you learned, and so, and
Yeah.
also being a mom, it's like it's just like I tried so hard to study for this, and still it was like fascinating what you don't know. I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but yeah, it was
No,
just so fun, and just a fun way to like make fun of yourself.
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and of course, all of her stand-up dates I will put out there. So go see her live. What is the one joke or roast joke that people will approach you with still? Because you've had so many great ones. I was just rewatching the James Franco one with you, and then the Justin Bieber one. What is the one that people like continually still come up to you with?
Listen, I those roast jokes scare me.
I mean,
I
you
don't
you like Martha Stewart, like you
I
stung Martha
don't love
Stewart
to
in one of
quote
those.
them, but I will say that a lot of people are very shocked that I had a baby, and they're like, "Weren't you the one who said having a baby is like a DUI from the universe?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but, I mean, honestly, I am so glad I had a baby. It really did, like, make it just reshifted my values in such a major way that, it's very profound, but, it's I just love it, and I love being a mom. And, that's who I was then, and then I changed, and, I'm just so happy that I had a kid.
No, I mean, you've inspired me and my girlfriend. We are starting a journey ourselves, and it was one of those. I mean, you're like this bright, shining example of like, oh wow, because you admit how much hard work it is and how all of this stuff goes into it, but also how rewarding it is, and you couldn't see your life any other way. Even though Moshe washes your child in a sink at times, and I just think what a great example of like, yeah, I mean, anyways, I so always root for you, and I was so excited to be able to talk to you today. Thank you for spending so much time with our audience. You guys, the show, Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? You can watch 3 episodes right now. Wednesdays, 1 episode. The podcast, The Endless Honeymoon. I'm telling you, there's close to 500 episodes, and you are going to love this. Add it to your weekly rotation. Go join the Patreon, go see her live, go get her book, go support local booksellers. But if not, get it on Amazon for the holidays. And Natasha Leggero, I hope to talk to you again one day, because you are just truly one of my favorites. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're so nice. Thank you so much.